Hello, Father Tom. Thank
Hi.
you for agreeing to
Okay.
meet for this interview.
Yeah, love to. Thank you.
So, the topic of this interview is focusing on one of our faith and topic that we discussed in our faith and philosophy class.
Mm-hmm.
And the topic that I chose was the matter of whether or not the existence of God is self-evident or not. And so I was planning to discuss with you
Okay.
3 different viewpoints,
Mhm.
specifically Saint Anselm's, Guanilo's, and Saint Thomas Aquinas'.
Okay.
And then which of the 3 do you align yourself with more?
Mm-hmm.
So first,
First one.
we can discuss Saint Anselm.
Okay.
So it's pretty self-explanatory how he believes that God is one which a greater cannot be thought of. And so what are your views on that? Like specifically.
Well, I think Anselm is right up to a point. God is that than which no greater we can think of, right?
Mhm.
And that which is greater, the most greatest, would have to exist, or otherwise it wouldn't be the greatest,
Yeah.
right? Okay, that's the argument, basically. So he's right up to that point. But the problem with the argument is, it's what they call in philosophy all in a logical order.
Mhm.
See, it has to do only with the idea in the mind. God is that than which, that's an idea. He
Mhm.
must exist, therefore, but it's all in the mind.
Yes.
So it's a purely logical argument.
Mhm.
Whereas if you go to Aquinas, now let's jump.
Yeah.
If you go to Aquinas, you don't have a purely logical argument
Mhm.
because Aquinas starts with something concrete in the world. Do you know how Aquinas argues?
The 5 proofs?
Well, any one of them?
Yeah.
How does he argue basically though?
Well, like,
What does he start with?
he starts with the first proof of motion.
Okay, so see, that's something in the world.
Oh, yes.
See what I mean?
Yeah.
He's not staying in the logical order. He's
Mhm.
starting with something that's real in the world, namely that things change. There's motion.
Yeah.
Okay. And how's it go? You remember how it goes?
Yes. So the first proof of motion
Yeah.
is that all things in the
Our
universe
emotion.
are in motion, and in order for them to be in motion, they must have been moved by something else.
Mm-hmm.
And due to the laws of nature, everything must have a mover. But the question is, what was the first mover?
That's it.
And so, since God is not like held down by the laws of nature
Mhm.
because of his nature,
Right.
then he is the only solution to the dilemma
Yeah.
because he can be an unmoved mover.
That's right.
Yeah.
He's the cause of all motion in the world.
Yeah.
You got it. You're pretty good. Pretty good at this
I'll
stuff.
try. Thank you.
You're pretty good.
So,
Yeah, so basically, see, the big difference I want to get is Anselm stays in the logical order. You understand that now, right? Purely an idea. God
Yeah.
is that thing which it's an idea in his mind.
Mhm.
But Thomas starts with something very concrete
Yes.
in the world, motion.
Mhm.
And that's the big difference. So one is an argument from real things in the world,
Mhm.
and the other one is from an idea in the mind.
Yeah. So from what I've heard about Guanilo's
Mhm.
criticism is that he makes a comparison to the Lost Island.
Yeah, right.
So basically what he's saying is that even though you think of something and like by nature, according to what you think, that like if it's greater then it must exist,
Mm-hmm.
Guanilo is basically saying that alone shouldn't prove anything's existence because you can just say that anything, you can pick like, I guess a chair.
Yeah,
or,
anything, yeah.
So would Guanilo be more correct than Anselm in that sense? That like would Guanilo's argument be kind of more in line with Saint Thomas?
Oh, I don't think so, because they're both Guanilo and Aquinas are talking about an idea. They're both what they call, I guess, ontological arguments, both of them.
Oh.
So, and the big difference is Thomas doesn't begin there at all. He starts with the concrete things.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Aquinas would not exist with, agree with either one of them.
True.
In fact, you could probably find that in the Summa Theologica under the question of does God exist? Well, you should go to that argument, does God exist in the Summa? I forget exactly what the reference of it is, but where Aquinas talks about whether God exists or not, he gives his argument. And I think he brings up Anselm right then and there, and Guanilo and starts criticizing them right away.
I think, so he talks about how it's, from what I remember, I'm not entirely sure, so.
Yeah, go ahead.
But, so I believe that he brings up, like, if the existence of God is self-evident or not, and then he says that, he says that, like, the way that Saint Anselm, describes it as, that it's not in that way, but rather you can, like, prove the existence of God through concrete examples, and, like, he says, like, due to effects of God's existence.
Yeah, see, that's what Aquinas does.
Yeah.
He's talking about the effects in the world.
Mm-hmm.
You know, concrete reality, things existing in the world, motion.
Mm-hmm. So, from your point of view, is there any other, like, other than Aquinas, like, any other viewpoints that you've come across that you thought were interesting and you agree with?
Well, I'm basically one who agrees with Saint Thomas on almost everything. So
he is a pretty correct guy.
So I mean, and to be honest with you, I've been away from thinking about philosophy for quite a while, so I don't have other arguments at the tip of my fingers. I mean, these are the big ones.
Yeah.
And I think we've explored those. But now whether there's others, like there's a man by the name of Plantinga, who deals with, I think he deals with the Anselmian argument.
Mm-hmm.
You might want to look him up. Plantinga is one of the big, I don't know, he might be dead now, but he was a contemporary, that dealt with the Anselmian argument. Plantinga, yeah.
All right.
Look him
make
up
sure
and see what you get from him. Yeah.
All right.
So that's basically it. Now, like I said, I've been away from thinking about this stuff, and I haven't been teaching it for about a year and a half, so you forget the details.
I mean, you remember a lot of it, so.
Oh, I did remember the basics. Yeah, the basic things. Yeah.
So.
But I don't.
Is there anything else you would like to address about the topic, or is that?
Well, I think, like I said, if you want an argument for God's existence, it would be Aquinas.
Mm-hmm.
It would be Aquinas. But I was always convinced, this is on personal opinion, that if you approach any of this not believing in God at all through faith, none of this will probably convince you. And if it does, it'll take a long while before it does.
Yeah.
So in general, I guess what I'm trying to say is arguments for the existence of God are good for those who believe that God exists. Which is,
I mean,
you know what I mean?
Sense,
So
yeah. Like for people who want to validate the faith they already have.
Right. So that's basically it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't, like I said, if you don't believe in God to begin with, it's going to be hard to demonstrate through any of this to them.
Yeah.
Whether God exists. I'm thinking there's something that I can't remember this. There's something I would be able to answer with that, but I don't remember what it was. But anyway, yeah.
All right. Well,
that's basically it. Those are the argument. That's the argument.
Oh, well.
But look under Plantinga and see what he has to say about Anselm, at least.
Mm-hmm. I'll make sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Plantinga, Anselm, Guanilo. Those are the big arguments. Anselm, Guanilo, and Aquinas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, these topics were, when I first encountered them, especially like the actual like text itself, it was a lot to unpack. So.
Well, the texts are always, they're always heavy.
Yeah.
You know, they're heavy, and it's hard to, even from our point of view of the English language, it's hard to. Maybe it's easier to understand in Latin, but we don't know the Latin. I don't know the Latin that well to be able to. But yeah, the English, it's hard to get them. But basically, we did. You know, the Anselm was very simple.
Yeah.
Guanilo's answer is simple enough. Aquinas.
Yeah.
I used to like a philosopher by the name of Whitehead, but I'm not sure how he argued. I just forget it. He was an American, and he came up with a philosophy called process theology, where he thought everything was in motion. He argued from everything being in motion, but not the way Aquinas does it. And I actually forget how he did it. So you might want to look up Alfred North Whitehead. Alfred North Whitehead is his full name. Alfred Whitehead.
Yeah.
And see how he deals with some of this.
So I need to search up Alfred North Whitehead.
Whitehead and Quantiga. Look them both up. That's
All
enough.
right.
That's good for you.
All right.
Okay?
Well,
I think you got enough.
Yep. Well, thank you so much, Tom, for your time.
Will your what do you call it? Professor be happy?
Yes. I hope you're happy.
Okay.
All right.
Well, nice talk. You have a pretty good mind, you know. You're understanding this stuff.
I try to.
And I think half of it is I can see you like it.
Yeah, it is. It is a bit
Yeah.
interesting for me.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Half the battle with students at your age is if they like it or not, you know.
that's
Some
awesome.
students don't like it, they say, "Oh, with it all," you know.
We took a philosophy class in Cristo Rey.
Cristo Rey? Okay.
Yeah, and then
Who taught it over there? Who teaches philosophy?
Mr. Lambert.
Oh, Lambert, yeah, Patrick, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I know him. Yeah.
So yeah, some of the students, it all
Yeah,
depends on whether-
Patrick's a nice guy, too.
Yeah, so he makes it interesting.
Yeah, he's very nice. Patrick's good man. Okay, well, take care. That was good. Nice talking to you.
Next time you
Now I gotta go to prayers. We have a meeting and the prayers. Okay?
All right. Have a good day.
Yep.